Hey, gentlemen, welcome back. This is Reviving Real News. We're just going to get right into this one. This shouldn't be too long, man, because the prison system's a prison system. It is what it is. It's cut and dry. But yeah, like I said in the previous video, I explained the court stuff and what they do and what to expect and what's going to go on with your sentencing. You're going to be in there waiting forever long until they wake you up early in the morning and ride you to where your state reception facility is. You're shackled the whole 9 yards. It's miserable. It's crappy. You're probably with people you don't know, don't like, and who knows what the guards are going to do to you on the whole ride there. And I don't mean beat you up. I mean the verbal abuse, the music. They could put it on a woke talk show. You know what I mean? There's all kinds of ways to torture you and make it miserable. Another way they do it is constantly stopping at speedways and whatever and getting drinks and food. Just to, you know what I mean, you get under your skin. But yeah, that goes on. And the next thing is you get to wherever your reception institution is. They're going to walk you right into these places, facilities. It's going to look like a bathroom. It's not a bathroom. It's got stalls or dividers in it, but yeah, this is where you nitty gritty. This is real stuff. You got to strip down, complete butt naked, everything. And this can go good or bad for you guys. In my place, everything, the more markings, scars, tattoos, piercings, and whatnot you have, the worse this is for you. The more pictures they take of your completely undressed body, your genitalia, your tattoos, everything, like all of it. If you only have your ear pierced or like one tattoo or two tattoos and they're not any kind of, gang music or whatever sports logo been turned into some stupid done gang thing, then you could be only 45 seconds naked. And if that's the case, you don't have to have the degrading, embarrassing pictures and the documentations and then putting rules and scales on your tattoos to get the dimension. None of that. None of that. They're going to throw a pile of clothes on the floor. Like, the floor can have feces or pee on it too. They don't care. They're going to throw it's going to be underwear, socks. You're going to get tube socks, white socks, and you're going to get white briefs. No boxers until you get to wherever you're going and people got money and pay for it. You have to be going into rooms with only underwear and socks. Nothing. Everybody else is just like you are. It's disgusting. It's embarrassing. It's degrading. And the Caucasian men, I feel for you. I know what it's like, and believe me, I feel you. I do. Without getting the nitty-gritties, I do. And yes, guys, the other whatever are going to be whatever, and some of them are going to look, because they're nasty, disgusting. So that kind of predatory stuff is whatever. Just keep your head on a swivel. And don't be gaslit by these idiots and whatever saying it's the Caucasian men who... We all understand where I'm going with this, man. Just protect yourselves. But yeah, that's bad. That's bad. You're all like this. You're all pretty much naked. You have to wait for them to call your group or to call you by your last name up to this window, okay? And this is where you go through the prison stuff. This is where you get everything. Like, you get a number. They know if you had a previous prison number. They know where your previous prison was, and then they give you your new prison number. It's very, very basic. It's very, very simple. It's very, very easy. All of that, man. It is what it is. It's your intake stuff. It has any and all of your of what your stuff is. No, I can't. I was going to show it to you, but there's absolutely no way that I could do it without any of my stuff being doxxed. And that's kind of poopy because I want to be as transparent, but I can't. I don't have whatever to cover up my number or my social and my last name or none of that. But I was really, that's why I had my phone. I was going to show it to you. But that's what you get, And that right there is going to be, you're going to have that with you front and center for a while. But you go up there, you do that, you get that. Then you go back to the room, you wait. They call you up again. This time you go for your actual uniform. It might be different than your parent prison. My state's different. You get whatever color and whatever uniform here, but then when you go to your parent institution, it's a whole different game of what you wear and the colors and everything, depending upon your security clearance, all this, where you're housing, where you're housed at, all of it, it's all different. But you get your clothes, you gotta try, you get one shot at this. You try them on, you speak your piece. Same thing for what goes next with the state boots or the state shoes. And yes, gentlemen, they have changed a lot. A lot of it, you can't really go off on yourself in the system anymore. You gotta have to have outside help to go away. You don't have laces. It's all Velcro. You don't have whatever in your underwear and in your pants. None of that nonsense. You can't. That's what I'm trying to tell you. And the only way you're going to get belts is when you get to your real place and you know somebody who knows somebody, or your people on the outside do it for you. Because they really want to make it impossible for you to go disappear. They want you to do your sentence. But yeah, you better speak your mind right then and there. If your boots or shoes or whatever is something's off, that's the only shot for the next year or two you're going to have to get it right. From that moment on, what you get is what you're stuck with until you get where you're going and you exchange your stuff. You get your clothes, and then from the clothes, the next person's going to give you your legal packet. Legal packet is nothing more than a yellow pad. You get like the real tiny pencils, but they're already sharpened. You can write with them. You get some white paper. You get one or two prepaid posted inmate letters for you, so you can write your people. You can request or ask like religious stuff depending upon your background and your beliefs and your whatever. You get legal pay, like your whole legal thing from your county and your court. Then you have to you're dressed. Go to the next window, and this is your prison stuff. You get a laundry bag. A laundry bag. Then comes your bedding. You put your bedding in the laundry bag. That's like your one sheet. Then you get your cover that you could put down on the plastic mat or whatever it is. Then you get like a thicker, heavier blanket or whatnot. It's all garbage. I mean, it's not going to do much. You don't get pillow. There's no pillow. Forget pillow. There's no pillow in county. There's no pillow in this place where I'm talking about now. Forget it. You get your bed. You get a towel. You get a plastic cup about the size of a car ashtray, so it's like 2 swigs of water in it. You get your toothpaste, your state toothpaste, state toothbrush, state deodorant, all of this. So you got your whole bag, and then you got to take this list and fill in what you have, because they're going to do an inventory, and anything outside of your inventory that's been authorized and signed for at the end of this whole process is considered contraband, and that's a whole other department of prison. Whole other thing about prison. But you go, after you got all this in your little group or whatever's good to go, you go down the hallway, you either sit on benches or you sit on a brick wall and you wait and wait and wait, because here, you get the denied, or back years and years ago, it was mandatory anywhere and everywhere. You had to be shaven. You were all completely stricken. It was all, didn't matter unless you were an indigenous Native American. You were shaved. Like, I mean, your hair, your locks, your afro, whatever it may be, gone. Everybody was all the same. Everybody was, and that was where the whole escape charges and other things come, because people weren't keeping their appearance the same as their ID badges. But you get to, nowadays, you don't have to. You could choose to get the shave and the haircut, or you just go about your business. So you got to wait for people to figure out what they're going to do, and then from there you go to get your actual ID. You got to sit down, just like getting a driver's license. But you can't be smiling and you can't be whatever. You get that, and when that's done, you got to wait for them to have it processed out the machine. And then that comes. Then usually that's where you have to be given a break or whatever, and they start grouping you off to go eat lunch. And then from the lunch, it's just a matter of how much you're going to be able to get done before the shift change, count times, lockdowns, all of that. Eventually, depending upon how far you got, whether you got to the medical part of your intake, like the medical is a whole crazy thing. But you're either going to get to the medical part of it, or you're going to get to try to think. It's either the medical part of it, or it's the part where you go into the office and you fill out your list. Like it's the visitor list that you have to have approved by the state. But it's after one of those two processes where they in my state, they're gonna tell you to go to either one or two. I don't want to say the things that come before it because that's gonna dox me or dox where this happened to me at, and I don't want to do that yet. But it's two separate. It's two places, but they're the same thing. They put you either one or two. So from there you go and you gotta sit and wait for them to get to you. The count times, the shift changes, everything. Only from then and there do you know where you're going to be sleeping and everything else. So they're going to call your prison number. Usually you got to pay attention for the last 3 digits of your 6-digit number. And then they might talk to you. They might not. They might just tell you to go to a 1, go to 2, go to 3, or to go to 4. Then you do that. And then it's all about them getting to you specifically, and then telling you where you're going to be spending the next 3 to 6 weeks. And that's that. That's how you get your little cell and your bed for that specific part of this whole ordeal. You're going to get a bunkmate. You're probably not going to like them, especially if the ages is way different gaps in the ages and the other colorisms and everything else. You gotta navigate that. You gotta negotiate that, because you're gonna be with whatever. Like I said, it can be for 2 weeks, 10 days, 2 weeks. It could be up to 6 weeks. Depends on how overcrowded the whole system is. But you gotta do that. The next morning, all the new people, like not the whole entire dorm of that prison, but the new arrivals get woke up at 4:35 the next morning, and it's hell. You get these stupid presentations that tell you the state prison system, tell you about the rape, tell you about diseases, tell you about blah, 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 stuff that nobody really cares. Then you do all get lined up, sat down like cattle, and they do use the needles and everything. Like, you ain't get no options. You can't refuse, you can't nothing, because them cops will beat you up. This prison. This isn't jail. This prison. Okay, this is not jail. Jail's a whole different, that's like a daycare center. Here, it's a whole different animal. Like, case in point, somebody knocks you over the head with the lock in the sock. There could be 20 COs right there. Them COs, by the law of the state, are not required to do anything because blood is a biohazard. It's a biological hazard. They're not trained nor have the equipment to deal with biohazards. So they're not going to do nothing at all, point blank. But you go through all the procedures of the institutions. You get your blood drawn so they know if you have diseases and how to classify you to put you in a medical prison. All these different things. And then I'm just going to try to lump this as quick as possible. Your days, you might have a day where you never leave your cell, but more often than not, you do. You have to go through, you have to go take testing for education. It's like a 2-hour, 3-hour thing. It's a lot of questions. They basically try to figure out who's lying about having GED or diplomas and who's not. It's dumb. Most people when they get it, there's usually a cheat sheet or somebody has already got all the stuff wrote down. It's dumb. You go. They do try to pry a little bit about religion to see if you want to go to church or if you have these beliefs or stuff like that. You do go. You got to do, like I said, you got to do a visiting list. Visiting list is how you get commissary. They approve 1 or 2. You got to tell them specifically by designating who you think or believe or feel is going to be sending you the money. They have to approve that. They have to approve your phone call list. Then you go to what's called the classification or the gang task force. And this is where what I said a minute ago is going to screw you. Your tattoos, your piercings, your stupid sign languages, the baggy pants, the not tying your shoes, the hat backwards or hanging off the side of your face, all that stuff. This is where it all backfires on you. Because the classification, they're going to ask, you got issues with color. You got issues with probably transgenders. They're going to ask you, because that was an issue when I was going through this, so I can only imagine what it is today. The severity of your felony goes into your classification. What your felony is, like if you're a drug dealer, child support, if you're a murderer, all those things go into your classification. They ask you questions about your safety. They ask you questions about your record. Have you been this? They ask you gang affiliation. They know when you're lying. Like, these are the actual real people. Like, this is a whole legitimate squad who's doing this. They know what to look for on the tattoos because they have crazy cameras when they take the pictures of the tattoos. And this is when you really start to see that they're out for you, because these guys have all your county court stuff, and they start making snide remarks about, man, I got to do this for somebody on child support. This guy's going to get killed in here. Like, this is when you really start to get... And I've only been here 3 days. I'm not even where I'm supposed to do my sentence yet, and I'm already being talked down to and hearing things about how they view child support and stuff like that. So that's classification, and that's going to... Classification determines what happens next. It determines where you go. It determines a lot of things. Determines if you get into an honor camp. When honor camp is the easiest time, more or less. There's probably a couple honor camps that are really like outdated and bad and don't have, I guess you would say, for lack of a better word, the privileges that you're supposed to have. But the classification determines all of this, along with your felony charge, your previous record, and your affiliations with gang and violence. You just have to wait. It's a process of waiting. You'll find out one day through the computer system. They have a computer system in there you have access to. It's called JPay or something. JPay, I forget it specifically. I don't really care. But that's how you got to log in with your information, and it tells you, well, your out date, tells you where you're going to be doing your time, tells you how much money's on your commissary, it tells you if you have a holders. A holder means that you're in prison, but you have a warrant from a different state or a county, and they're going to come get you. You can look up and find if you have parole, which is another thing that happens as you're waiting to go to prison. Most times, they want to get the parole, or what's called post-release control. They want to get that over with. So you already kind of have an idea if you have to report when you're done or if you don't have to. I got my piece of paper within a week or two. I remember the middle afternoon, they doing the mail thing under the door, and it's folded up piece. I still have it. It's folded up pieces of paper. And I mean, instantly denied. So, gentlemen, in our situation, they're probably not going to mess with you. You're probably going to be given the same piece of paper I was that says denied, that you are free. You're legitimately free. So, like, I knew before I ever went to where I was going or anything in between that I did not have this. My state does not really mess with you like that unless you're a gang member, you're in these other things, guns, blah, 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 stuff I don't care about. I'm not that demographic, and I don't do that stuff, so I could care less. But that's how the parole system works. Or unless, let me rephrase this, the judge in your sentencing can specifically request the state to put you on it, and the judge can give hell on earth to the state to do it to you. So you got to be careful. But yeah, that's the parole, the post-release control. And dude, from here, it's just you're waiting to go to where you're going to do your time. So you have more freedom. At this institution, you don't have yard time. You only get set rec to use the phone, take a shower, or to play cards if you know somebody. And yeah, to go in the dumb TV room and watch everybody fight over stupid Lifetime or Oprah Network. Dumb stuff. Dumb, feminized, dumb. And I understand you're locked up with a bunch of dudes, but if you're going to turn on something to look at females and not stare at dudes all day, I don't want to see Oprah Winfrey, and I don't want to see the other Lifetime Network. Come on, man. Come on. But that's pretty much the gist of that. There's no movement. You have no freedom. It's poopy, guys. I'm not going to play it. It's poopy. The housing is crappy because you don't have much in your cell, and you guys can get it. I don't need to get into nitty-gritty details. Of course, you're not going to get along with people. There's all kinds of bad things that can go on. I've been fortunate that I really only had 1 or 2 bad people that I had to share a space with. And one was the whole colorism issue, some young whatever punk, and I don't care how big, like I told him at that moment, like somebody's not leaving this situation, and it's probably not going to be me. So we do whatever, you can think you're a young, tough, this and that, and I said, but the second you've exhausted yourself and you've done whatever, I don't want to get into the nitty gritty of it, but I know how to do what I have to do, and I know how to deal with that type of demographic. You ain't gonna bully me, intimidate me, and try to shame me, you punk ass. You gotta be prepared for these things, fellas. You gotta be prepared for them. But that's pretty much that. Like, that's just the waiting game. You have to. You can't control anything. I will tell you, you might get lucky if your second shift COs are pretty cool and have been there for, like, are about ready to retire. They might come in the evening and knock on the glass window and say, hey, so-and-so, you're riding out in the morning. That does happen a lot. A lot of the good COs, the ones who know dudes are on edge and have been there for a long time and haven't moved, like haven't had any outdoor activity, haven't breathed air really, anything, they do tell you that, hey, so that way you can maybe sleep good that night, kind of get a heads up on packing up, because when they ride you out in the morning, you don't get much time to get your stuff together and go. Like, if you're one of those dudes that got money in commissary and you got a box already there, it takes you a minute to get organized and packed, because you can't take with you what's opened. Like, when you're leaving this institution to be rode out to another institution, they do a contraband. Like, they check everything. What's been opened, tampered with, none of that. You got to give it away or throw it in the trash, and that's the truth. So that's pretty cool when they give you the heads up to do whatever. But that's pretty much the nitty-gritty of that. It goes on, it happens. And you only get little subliminal warning shots of what's about to come to you, as far as the treatment, the attitude, and you realizing your place in that system in society. So, whenever it's your time to go, you go. You have to, you go through you kind of pretty much go through the same thing I told you at the beginning of this video. Like, you get stripped down, searched, you get inventory, you get put in different clothes, you have to ride on a bus, there's guns, excuse me. That's pretty much, it's just a boring, and it's boring and it's long, because they started at like 4 or 5 in the morning. And you have to, because they have to separate you. Obviously, states have different prisons. So they have to separate you into certain groups, and they put certain groups on whatever bus, because that's how they drop you off. Like, this group gets dropped off at this place first, then this group goes to the other part of the state and goes here. So you get a little scenic drive, you know what I mean, and whatever. But then you get to where you're going, and that's the real world, that's the eye-opening, that is a lot of the stuff you do see in the movies and TVs. The state I live in has several institutions that have been in world-famous movies, one of the most famous movies ever made. Everything about that movie was done where I live. You guys could go ahead and figure that out and dox me. I don't really care, I guess. But yes, that's a real true story. Very famous actors. Very famous. Very, very. And I'm not hyperbole. It is one of the most whatever movies ever in our existence, okay? So this is the real stuff. This is where the real things happen. This is where things you've seen in movies or TV shows. This is it. As far as the real COs, real inmates, real world stuff goes on right here. You got the means, you can get it. You got the money, you're going to get it in here. The only thing that's going to happen that might be a little different is if you have the privilege or the oh my Lord, the blessing to be put in an honor camp. From that moment, you are separated from the rest of the population. You are. You're absolutely separated. You're in a different, you could be a mile or 2 miles away from the actual prison. Okay? But you're still considered in that prison's population, even though you're not in the population. Okay? It's called an honor camp. More privileges, less strict. Usually there's no stealing and no violence, no fights. There's usually no jumpings, Definitely isn't the taking of men's private parts. I can tell you that. There's if any of that happens at a camp, it's willingly, okay, guys? There's no such thing as forcibly doing whatever when you're in those things. Real institutions that are not honor camps, that's where your nightmares are made, gentlemen, okay? Transparent as possible, that's where nightmares are born and bred. So, you're going to have to wait for them to separate people and put them where they got to go. And then you know. Because they call you in the same kind of looking thing with the dividers and everything, you do have to get out of the transportation uniforms. And then that's when you pretty much, if you don't already know what your classification is, this is when you find out. Because they throw the different uniforms. One uniform means general population, you're a bad dude and you're going with the bad. The other color means you're not. That other color means that's when you get to go to the honor camp and everybody instantly knows that you're not part of whatever. So from there, that's, gentlemen, are two different things. I can only speak on one situation, survival or whatever of that whole aspect of this encounter with prison. So depending upon your security clearance and classification, I'm telling you what's going to happen. You're going to be thrown to the real stuff, or you're going to go and kind of have a little bit of a different experience. Not as brutal, not as gross. You get what I'm saying to you guys. But from here on out, everything's bad for you. And I mean bad by you're not going to be on equal footing with anybody or at all, okay? No staff, no food service individual, none of the mental health services, your unit manager, the gentleman in your unit who does the job classifications to the kitchen or to yard detail, to the trash compactor, to the maintenance department, to the mechanic department, to the Department of Transportation. Yes, you do get classified to that, where you literally go on state routes and highways, all the weed whacking, trash pickup. Yes, you do that. It's like all those people involved, okay? The guards that you report to job duty for, when people know what they know about you, I'm telling you what it is. It is horrible. It goes in the same sentence of breath as don't let your coworkers and your boss know anything. You lose your job, okay? And this is not hyperbolic here. My state specifically does have that. It's a right to work. They don't have to keep you. They can literally wake up and say you're no longer employed. So you don't want anybody to know you have garnishments out of your checks. You don't. You absolutely can and will lose your job. You are a liability to that employer. You're a liability on every aspect of that employer. Because when the stealing starts happening, they're coming for you. When the money's missing in the registers or the money's in the whatever at the end of the month for accounting or finances, you're the one who's getting the boot. When keys come up missing, you're the one to blame because they know you don't have the finances and the resources. The same thing translates into the prison, okay? Once your monkey finds out, once your neighbors find out, I'm telling you, like, unless you seriously are a criminal and a druggie or a dealer, and you have connections and you know people and know these circles and these bad types of environments, it's over for you. You're never going to get whatever footings. You're never going to have equal conversations, equal opportunities. You're never going to have equal food. You're never going to have anything unless you are one of those people who got the connections and the money. Then you might whatever lifestyle. I really don't know because I don't have those things and I never will, so I don't know how to relate to that. I just know what goes on. Like, I can tell you, dude, when you go, because when your out date's coming up, you have to go through certain things to get out. You got to go get a release ID. You got to be cleared for warrants. You got to be cleared for housing. You got to be cleared for everything. All this kind of stuff. They got to make sure that you're not on PRC, which they should already know anyways. But that's what I'm saying. They won't do anything for you. I've literally watched unit manager who's in charge of the release stuff to make sure you've got a place to go, because they can't necessarily put you whatever. They got to make sure you got a bus ticket, you got money, You're not going to go rob somebody the second you're not in custody anymore, more or less is what I'm saying to you. They don't care. I've watched them treat people who had stuff against kids or people who done off people's lives, get whatever and talk to whatever, than somebody who was in there for 5, 7, 8 months for child support. It makes no sense. Just be prepared, fellas. You got to be prepared. It's the verbal stuff from the inmates and the staff and the mental things, the games. No one's going to physically whatever to you. Don't misconstrue my words, fellas. I'm not going to tell you people are going to physically whatever because you're in there for child. No. But don't make the mistake of thinking people are going to be friendly. People will probably more or less, you look at the wrong person and they know you're there for child support, they're probably going to beat your ass. Sorry for cussing. And that's what's wrong with men. The gaslighting and the predictive programming that all guys who are whatever for divorce or child support are deadbeats and losers. That's dumb. That needs to go away. But guys, that's pretty much the gist of it. There's no need for me to get into the prison life. Like, I don't understand why any of you would want to know about it anyways, unless you're seriously going to prison, or unless yes, you are a loser, criminal, drug dealer, junkie. And I don't know why you'd want me to discuss any of that with you. It's not good. You're not going to, why? I mean, I give you, I don't even know, man. Somebody wants to hear something about that crap. That's interesting. I don't know why they would, but I can tell you here's how white people do how they smoke. Unless you've got whatever to the bugler tobacco or the whatever, roll your own cigarettes, it's a dip. Snuff. Kodiak, Grizzly, Winter, whatever, what have you. They take it and they put it in the coffee cups or the plastic cups with the lids in their microwave and dry it out, and then go roll it up and they smoke it. It's like smoking a methylated cigarette. Okay, there's a little prison thing for you. You want me to tell you another one? I mean, for the love of God, I hate when people ask those kind of things just because they're only doing it to see how I react or to see how truthful I'm being. You want to know how they roll cigarettes and how they roll marijuana? Yeah, man, they make the stuff themselves, guys. You make marijuana paper out of paper towels, Kool-Aid, and instant coffee. Okay? Yeah, that's how you do it. That's how you get your flavored wraps. That's how they do it. It's truth. Absolutely the truth. You got to make your own little whatever you're making, whatever flavor and however thick you want to coat it, and you do the whole sheet. Once it's to the right, rigidity and the right, firmness, you get your straight blade, because people break razors down and use the blades for cooking and every other. I'm not going to tell you come on, man. I'm not here to discuss the lifestyle of prison. But, yeah, that's how they do it, and they cut them into the strips, and you got to do your 2-for-1s, 3-for-1s, or however you do it to get it. That's how they do that. But, I mean, it's just like stuff like that. People aren't going to mess with you guys, is what I'm trying to tell you. Like, it's hard for you. Let's say you do have whatever, and you want to go get a tobacco to have a couple roll-ups or just to have one. Usually it's like 3-for-1. It was usually a 3-for-1, or it was a bag of Keefy coffee. Yeah, they're not going to do it to you because they know you can't have commissary or money, guys. That's my whole point, okay? Child support, they take it right out of prison. You get state pay. I wish I didn't. I wish that I had the proper ways to hide my information. I got the papers. All them papers, all that stuff is in my folder, man. All that stuff is in I can't show the whole thing because my number and my name's on it. But I have all the documentation in here. Like, I know what the stuff costs. I know what I'm saying to you. They're not going to do it. You don't get commissary. I can show you guys in that folder what the state pay does and what it comes out of, okay? So, there's ways to manipulate that. You want to know prison life? Okay? Back then, Cash App was still relatively under the table new. That was kind of the predominant hustle. So was PayPal, and there was another one. And it's a dangerous, dangerous game, and it's very, very, very dangerous because a lot of trust and a lot of whatever else goes on in between this. Okay, guys? Very, very, you got to play the game with the phone. But guys do it all the time. all the time to get their party supplies, if you catch my drift. But yeah, guys, that's what I'm saying to you. It's not the same experience for us as it is for all the other inmates, okay? You can't maneuver, you can't get commissary, you can't do nothing. You can't anything. And none of the inmates are going to mess with you because they know you're broke. They know that you can't have money sent, and no one's going to make deals with you. No one's going to allow avenues to do things because they know. And that's just the simple truth, guys. That's why you don't want none of this. Because not every prison is prison, man. That messes people up mentally for the rest of their lives. There's a lot of things you see in prison that if you are whatever mentally, you're damaged for your life. You're damaged. You're done. You're damaged. You're over. Sometimes you can't get the images and the sounds out of your head, guys. Like, you don't want none of this. That's why I hate when people want to know about the intricate details. Like, man, really want to know this kind of stuff? Why would you want to know this? But it's not the same, guys. You don't want it. You don't want to be degraded, talked down to. You don't want to know what it's like to be in there and not be able to do nothing or have anything. Everybody else all around you can have some kind of a normalcy prison sentence. You don't get a normal prison sentence. It's my whole point of telling you this. It's not a normal prison sentence. It's not at all. And then the going home, gentlemen, here we go. Let's get into this. Your out date's coming. You've already got your release photo done, shot up, everything. You ain't got nowhere to go. You got nobody in your life. Mom, dad, brothers, sisters. You got nowhere to go, nothing. Me personally, gentlemen, that's what I did. I had nothing, nobody, not a gosh darn thing. I was told a situation was there for me, and I was completely, dude, that was all validation for that party involved. They said what they said and did what they did to make themselves feel good. When it came time for me to do whatever, I was so screwed. I had a couple choices to make. And this is going to lead right into the whole housing, the whole everything. I know what goes on, all of this. If you guys have nothing and nobody, you got to make decisions. Because I told you earlier, they don't let you leave unless you've got certain things going on, man. Like, you better have a city to go, a house, something. You better say something because of the bus ticket involved. That's not a joke. They got to give you a bus ticket, or if where they drive you to the bus station is the city you're going to or close enough, you don't get a bus ticket, you get the money and you just walk or somebody's picking you up. The other thing is, if you have people in your life, honest family or mom or dad or I don't know, you're in a relationship, I don't know, you get picked up from there. Like, literally get picked up like out the gate. Literally. There's a whole parking lot, staff members and doctors and other people park their car. That's where you would be released to, because your people would be right there in that gravel area, and it's perfectly legal. It's perfectly fine. But this is where I really learned a lot of things that I didn't already know. I figured out right here. This is going to bring all into the current events of 2022 going into 2023. This is exactly where my eyes were already opened and I was already aware, but this really filled in a lot of blanks and really heightened my senses and sharpened my knowledge tenfold right here. I'm talking from the shelters to the case managers, the social workers, to the food stamps. I mean, everything, gentlemen. This is where I really learned a lot here. This is probably more important than the prison part, what I'm going to say next video. Because this is exactly this is what I'm telling you. They don't care. They don't care about you. The system is not set up for us. Okay? Like, I learned this was an eye-opening experience, a life-altering experience, for the better or for the worse. I'm telling you, I've already been homeless before and been in shelters, but these were not a big city, a major metropolis, major whatever. This wasn't around a whole bunch of whatever kind of demographics and peoples and a bunch of freaking illegal aliens and all kinds of other crap that shouldn't be happening. This stuff, I opened my eyes, and holy crap, gentlemen. This system is not at all for us. It is not. The social workers, the caseworkers, the housing specialists, fellas, how is it here, what is this, September, 27th, 28th? It's the 28th. How am I sitting here at 1:16 in the afternoon, and within a year's period, I know more than these social workers and housing specialists and case managers. Or I know how to get stuff more than they do, and they get paid for this crap. This is worse, harsher, and more crucial than the prison stuff. Because you're already on child support. You already done been to prison. You can't do nothing. You see what I'm saying to you about they don't care? They know that people run background checks. Okay? They also know how our culture and society works. A prison ID is a death sentence. Having a background run on me, I'm done. But when you get to these places, everybody's stupid freaking solution to everything, everybody's end all to be all, is a freaking stupid flip a burger, drop some fries, kiss my ass job. Okay, guys that are on child support, the job is the worst thing in the world. It's the worst thing in the world unless you have a job that is paying you 30-something an hour. Okay, which nobody has. Child support and a job are like fire and ice. Complete opposites. Because men, the longer you go through child support and the job, the more the mental health and the drugs and the alcohol become serious things in men's lives. Because you are a freaking slave. And at worst, you are killing yourself mentally and physically. Because you can't eat, you can't brush your teeth, you can't shower, you can't do nothing. And these people in these facilities and these offices and everything, their stupid solutions to everything is $8.50 an hour, feeding a bunch of beach beluga land whales. Kick rocks with that, man. That job is an important and a good thing. But when you come from prison and you're going through all this stuff and these people know your situation, the minute you get employment, you lose housing. Like seriously, 8 out of 10 times they'll pull the housing from you. Then you go right back to having no assistance or help. And you can't get rented to. But I'm going to get into all of that stuff, guys. You're already dead when you get a support order. You're already dead. You can never live. You can never have nothing. I'm telling you, coming on the end of this situation, I was a kid in my 20s. I wasn't even in my late 20s when this happened to me. So all of you men who are going to have this happen later in your life, or it's just now started to happen and you're in your 40s or 50s, yeah, right, man. And the world's the way it is now. They already did this to me and treated me and talked down to me and looked at me before the episode of pneumonia, however many years ago. All of this. And now the things are the way they are now. Holy crap, gentlemen. I'm telling you from personal experience, man. Nobody wants to do this. And if you could somehow find a way out of it, do it. Please, do it. Please get out of this. And don't let people lie to you and gaslight you, okay? Don't let any kind of an individual or an agency tell you to lie about your prison stuff. Don't. This is me telling you firsthand experience. I will dox the lady. I won't give you her first name. Her last name was Miss Ward. And this lady was adamant that I lie to everybody and everything. She would tear up my papers when I told the truth. If I checked yes for felony, she would tear my paper up, throw it in the trash, cuss me out, bring up the race stuff, everything, because we're not the same. Even though men and women are different, you guys get my point when I say we're not the same. So there was already issues here, which I just need to cut this short because I'm going to break all this down, guys, because this is so important and relevant to today in the housing market, food, everything. Guys, especially the guys who don't have anybody or anything. I know all of this and I understand it more than you can ever say to me because I've already lived this before I hit 30. or before I hit 35, or before I hit 38. Did this, come out of it. I'm telling you, I know, and I wish that I could take my papers from right behind me and show you without exposing my information so you can financially screw me more than I'm already screwed. But, prison is prison, man, yeah, okay, but the what comes after is more important and more devastating. It really is. It's the truth, man. And again, I ask you gentlemen that hear my voice, how in God's name can you seriously consider me in the same category as a drug dealer, someone who touches women or kids, someone who takes people's lives, somebody who breaks into homes, somebody who steals cars, somebody who steals people's credit, identities, and everything else? How in God's name can you do that to me? How? How do I deserve to be labeled as that, honestly? How? How do I deserve to be grouped into that? And people tell me don't feel away and don't act and don't talk and don't whatever. You ain't never been in my shoes. You've never been in my shoes. You have no idea what it's like to grow up with society saying and doing these things to you. You have no idea. You guys have all got to grow up and experience the first part of adulthood and to go have material things, have job promotions, have cars, and have $1 saved in your wallet. I've had to do all this with nothing while being kicked on, stepped on, spit on, and everything in between. And people tell me how to feel, how to think, and how to act, and how to live my life, and how to whatever. Come on, like that's kind of not right, because I have a right to be angry. I have a right to talk the way I do and feel the way I do. I do. I absolutely do. I've lived this. I've lived it. I don't know what happiness is. I don't know how to talk fake. I've never been happy a day in my life. And this, the last 20 years, has definitely not made any opportunity of happiness arise. You guys don't want this stuff, man. You don't want this. And then to have a record, you gotta be kidding. I'm a dead man walking, guys. I'm a dead man walking. I'm a dead man walking. On the flip side, though, suppose somewhere, some way, there's a silver lining to the child support thing, and that is the kids do turn 18, and then it's doing the old catching up the back pay, the arrearages. But gentlemen, the arrearages is one of the things that I do understand. Things can change, and it's the arrearages. I actually thought I had that right in front of me, but I do have the whole document, and I can actually show that. I don't think that has any of my stuff on it. But there is a whole thing about arrearages, guys. I don't think many are aware of, and I do have that paper. I do want to show that paper. I absolutely do want to show that. Because it tells you a lot about it. About how to contact the state, and then contact the county, and then to do to get them to drop it, more or less, guys, is what I'm trying to look for that paper while I'm talking to you. But that's the truth. It's only been in the last several years, gentlemen, and I found this out as I was leaving prison. The arrearages, because of the overcrowdings and because of, I honestly don't know. I couldn't get a straight answer of why it's even an option to have it dismissed or dropped. And it's got nothing to do with the mother. So don't think you got to have whatever with the mom or the other people involved with the kid. The way I understood it, that it was brought to me, was that they know when they obviously know by taxes and paycheck stubs when people pay. The more history over time that you have of pain or efforts of pain, And then, this is not bragging and nothing to be proud of, but if you've already been through the ringer, been punished and been stepped on, spit on, and everything else, that they really will work, or they pretty much can outright drop it. What have I told you guys from the beginning of this? Child support is two things. It's a lifestyle and it's welfare. So the more men that are on the welfare part of child support, when that kid is 18, really start looking into the options of the arrearages being dismissed, and that way you can get a job again and have your paychecks, get your promotions, and get that car or get that piece of whatever away from this nonsense. Okay? Yes, gentlemen. Yes. Yes. I know all about this. I know when it was introduced. Yes. That's very real thing, fellas. But you can't be. Now, guys, I don't want to dog anybody and I don't want to scare nobody, but I also understand that the ones who are in the loopholes in the system with the money or the state order disabilities or the retirements or the what other stuff, I don't think you guys can get out of the arrearages, because in the eyes of the state, you're not paying your support. They just can't do whatever because your money is government money. It's not taxable income. But you're still... Again, dude, I don't mean this to anybody or anything that's hearing my voice, but it's just a bitter, harsh reality that you're still in arrears. You're still, because, look, I'll be transparent with you. Somebody that I had become an acquaintance with or kind of, would associate with because we went through a lot of bad things together. This guy obviously is not in my life anymore, and he was somebody that was not what he presented. He was very good at being a chameleon until he wasn't good at it, which is how I know what I know about the SSDI, about government money and child support and arrearages. This guy duped me for 4 years until one day he was in his own familiarity or his whatever with our relationship and me being in his house and having free reign at stuff. He let his guard down. He had a whole stack of mail one day. His child support was freaking worse than mine. He had one kid. Was getting all this money every month, living like a king, and dude is never... I was like, wait a minute, what? I was floored, and he just tried to brush it under the table, like literally brush it under the table. Oh, it's not what you think, it's not this. I'm like, bruh, I just saw what I saw for how far behind you are, and no one's knocking on your door? And I just politely got up, put my jacket on. I was like, dude, thank God above you that you're not in the county where I'm at. That's all I said to him, and pretty much we have not spoken since. Don't lie to me about child support, guys. Don't hide that shit. I'll never look at you again. Never. You don't not exist to me. This guy played me for years over that stuff. That's how I learned all about it, man. I learned all about the disabilities, the retirements, everything, man. I know all that stuff. And I'm telling you, I saw the county where his was is where I live today. I saw what his money in arrears was. And I saw all the papers, all the threats, everything. And I'm like, bruh, your stuff is just like mine. You're on order because of welfare until they're 18. I'm like, dude, you seriously don't think at some point, somewhere down the line, it's going to, they can't do nothing to me. I'm invincible. Dude, I know how to use the internet. I know how to pick my phone up and call the people that did this to me years ago. You are not invincible, buddy. You're not Superman. You're just farther back in the pecking order of who's going to get boinked in the butt. Because your money is not taxable because it's government. But dude, they're coming. I'm like, they're still going to get you. And when they get you, it's going to be a lot worse than what I went through. Because I had years upon years of pain from the same job. Years upon years of pain from the same job. Repeated check stubs. And then, fast forward, I had what other years of pain from jobs. I'm like, bro, you're incredibly stupid and been gaslit by your brothers and sisters. Don't be duped, guys, by that little scam. Don't. Yes, you can do it, and they can legally not take it out. They can take it out of unemployment, but do not be gaslit by anybody, guys. Only do that is if you have to do it, because you have to do it. Because I'm telling you what they do, you're still on the bullseye and on the radar. You're just not at 1A or 1B of that list or radar. Because the other fish to fry, there are deadbeats. And a lot of the guys they go after for support are because they're already in the criminal system. So they throw the support on it because they're already in there, and they know they're going to be in prison for X amount of time. I do know that personally. A lot of guys that get in trouble randomly all of a sudden get hit with child support because the system has caught them. Meaning a lot of the guys are on disability or are on these whatever ways to skirt the system, whether they get a check from a behavioral health services once a week for their living expenses and whatnot. It's not taxable income. But they are fully aware of this stuff. So all I'm trying to tell you guys is, I don't want to hear it from anybody. I don't, because I'm telling you in real time of all the ways to do this, and even though it's whatever, you're still going to be got. Unless you have the attorney with the money and the connections, and you can get a written agreement with your county and the enforcement support agency to not to come at you for as long as you're on that disability. Unless you can do that, you are still SOL, sayonara sucker. Okay? It's just not going to be as rapid as it happened to me or as it happens to other people. Okay? That's the short and long of it, fellas. You got to be careful, man. If you guys know your chick is not on welfare, you've got to find a way to get her to agree to drop it. Get her to go get that paper from your juvenile courts. You can't go to the common pleas or the adult court. You got to go to the juvenile court. Usually it's a one piece of paper with two sides. You've got to work an agreement with her. You've got to work an agreement to get it to drop, and then go get your agreement notarized to where if you fuck up, if you F up that agreement, then you're liable. That's the best thing to do, guys. But if you're on support because she's living welfare, I'm just telling you guys, there's not much you can do. There's not much. You have to go find ways to get her in trouble. Like, you literally got to be knowing she's doing stuff or the kids being whatever. Other than that, that really is it. That's why the guys are on support, and that's why guys are going to jail, and that's why guys are being homeless. It's not the guys who are paying the support for the lifestyle, because those guys are already wealthy, okay? Them paying $2,000 a month is nothing, okay? I don't want to hear that. They've already got whatever lifestyle and money, so to them, it's just like removing a Netflix subscription. Oh, well, I don't have this much money, so I'm just going to cancel this so I can pay that. That's all they do, is they negate one expense to cover this expense. I'm talking about us. And this kind of thing right here, this is how it goes. So it's dangerous, guys. It's dangerous. But yeah, that's pretty much that. Guys, it stinks, man. It stinks. It stinks. You don't want it. Protect your sons, protect your nephews, your grandsons, and any children that you got to interact with, man. Don't let the women have any control over anything. Don't. And stick to your values, your faith, your morals, principles, your beliefs, your standards, your ethics, all of these things. Don't change them for anything at all. Because if you stand for nothing, you'll fall for anything. Obviously, if somebody heard me say that, because I couldn't believe I heard somebody this morning use that line. I almost spilt my cup of coffee this morning when that dude said it on his YouTube thing. I about fell over. Like, what? But yeah, guys. It's exactly what's going on. They want to break us because they don't want you to have something to stand for. They want you to fall for anything, fellas. Take care of yourselves and keep your heads up. And hopefully I'm able to wrap this up, man, about the shelters and about